Hey, what's up guys, it's Dom from Whole Printing Inc. In today's quick video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to line up your shirts. Most of you might be using a heat press like this. Some of you don't have the drawer or the swing away press. Like me guys, I have no choice but to clamp it down, and I don't really have a lot of space to go around and play with the heat press and be able to place my logo properly where I want it. I often burn myself, as you can see by my hands, and I also have some on my bicep. That's because loading my shirts and trying to place my logo is very inconvenient on this heat press. I've been using this method of placing my shirt on the heat press and lining up my shirts with this tape measure for around 2 to 3 years. However, in the past year, I found a method which is way easier, way less stressful when it comes to making sure that your logo is properly placed. And also, in my opinion, it may not be faster in the moment, but when you're doing lots of production and you have a second person on the heat press itself, it's a game changer. And if you still prefer to, press your garments directly on the heat press, let's say you have a swing away or a drawer, I'll have a link right here to the video on how to line up your shirts. It's still going to be very useful. However, for most of you that don't have the swing away option or the drawer, this video is going to be extremely useful. So guys, before we get right into it, let's cover what you'll need. You'll need a heat press. You'll need a tape measure like this. You can find all of these items I'm talking about on Amazon. Heat press, tape measurer, and an iron. You can use a household iron. I prefer these small irons that I buy on Amazon. They're really not big, and I feel like they do the job properly. So what I've done is I've placed 2 metal or ceramic plaques so it doesn't burn my surface here, and I've let the mini press heat up to the lowest temperature. Now that you've got everything, let's prepare your working station. I like to work on a table like this, a nice surface like this, which is high enough so I don't, hunch over my back all day. So now that you got your surface and you've got all of your tools, let's show you how to line up your shirts properly. Now, the first step after that your mini press is on, we want to grab a t-shirt. In this example, I'm going to be using a scrap t-shirt. And also, while you're waiting, you can turn on your heat press to speed up the process. And this method is going to be even more useful if you have lots of shirt to do, an employee or a friend, family member, whatever the case may be, helping you, that's on the heat press. Also, sorry for the mess, guys. Stuff has been insane recently. So I'm going to try to place the camera right here, and the first thing I want to do is I want to layer down my shirt where I'm going to be printing. So like I said, this is a scrap t-shirt, just for this example. I'm going to place the shirt like this, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that there's no wrinkles. Once the shirt has been properly placed, we can move on to the next step. You want to grab your logo. In this example, I'm going to be using this logo right here. So I'm going to cut up my logo. Make sure it's properly cut. You can buy this cutter on Amazon. I'm just basically making sure I have a straight cut line, so this will make everything a bit easier. As you can see, this is perfect. Now, the next step is pretty straightforward. You want to place your logo, and the thing that's very convenient about this method is that you can visually see if the logo looks straight, crooked, not centered, too much to the right, left, whatever the case may be. I really like seeing the shirt like this so I can have a good visual of where to place my logo. Your shirt is on the table, you got your logo. There's a few ways of proceeding. You can use these alignment rulers that you can find cheaply on Amazon. I prefer to use my trusty measuring tape. So what I'll do for this example, let's say I want it in the center of the shirt. Now obviously there's another logo, this is just for the example. Before we even measure, I want to make sure it looks straight to the eye. So if I take it like this, it looks pretty good. Now I'm going to place the camera here, and I'll explain to you guys what I'm doing. Let's say I want it 5 inches below the seam right here where the seam ends. I'm going to place it 5 inch. I'm going to use the top of the logo as my reference point. And now let's say I want to measure side to side. There's a few ways you can measure, just make sure you do the same on both sides. I can either use the end of the shirt, or I can use the end of the armpit, if that makes sense. I'm going on the seam, 8.5, make sure logo doesn't move, and then you go, same thing, I got 8.5. And you can play around with it if it looks crooked to the eye or anything like that. Then the next step, really easy guys, you want to hold one hand on the logo so it doesn't move. You want to apply some pressure with the mini press that's been heating up, and you simply want to go over the logo a few times until it's not moving anymore. Now, once that is done, you move on to the next step. So you successfully centered your print or aligned it left chest wherever the logo is going. Again, this is just a quick example for you guys so you have a visual. Now the next step, you want to load your shirt on the heat press, and the fun thing about this step guys is that there's nothing else to do but press. You don't have to go over and try to measure under the heat press. Everything is done and you simply press. And the thing that's fun guys, if you have a bunch of t-shirts to do, you do the same steps I've done. You place your shirt to the side, you take a new shirt, and you repeat the steps while having your logos close by. You can do a bunch of these, and then the only step left to do is to heat press the shirt, peel, repress, and the shirt is done. So even when doing big productions, especially if you have somebody on the heat press and you're here placing the logos and doing your thing, it's very convenient, and in my humble opinion, it's way less stressful, and you make sure your shirts are centered and aligned every single time. We're going to peel. And there you have it. A successful alignment, installation, application, however you want to call it, has been completed. I'm very proud to bring you guys this video. I feel like it's going to help a whole bunch of you, especially for the ones that have a heat press like mine where it doesn't swing away and you don't have the drawer. So let's take a look at the final result. Again, I did this very quickly just to show you guys an example. There you have it guys. A bit hard to tell on the camera, but we're perfectly centered. I took a weird type of placement just for the example. I wanted to center it 5 inches down, 8.5 on both sides. And just to give you guys a proper visual, I usually go from the top of the logo to here, the seam, and then I go from the side of the logo, whichever way is protruding outwards. So in this case, it would be the hand, measure until here, and I use the beak here of this logo and measure until here. In some particular logos, you might want to actually measure out your logo, find the center, and start from your center. But in this case, it worked perfectly fine. The logo is centered, looks good. Obviously, this is a scrap t-shirt. So yeah guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If ever there's any future videos that you guys want me to cover, if you have any questions or concerns, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll make sure to make a video about that particular subject or topic. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was Dom from Whole Printing Inc. Make a print you'll never forget.